So the Galaxy S23 Ultra, if I'm honest, it's probably the best phone that I've ever used. It's an incredible device. It is definitely in the running for the best phone that's out, even with the Z Fold 5 coming out soon, even with all of this excellent stuff with Galaxy Unpacked. I still have to say, even then, so many of you, if you are looking for the best that you can get on Android, I am a huge Google Pixel nerd who has been using Google Pixel devices for so long, but the Galaxy S23 Ultra is amazing. This is my full review of it. With all that being said, let's get right into it and let's talk about why I think this phone is so good. So again, in my experience, I have been a Pixel nerd who loves Google Pixel phones. I love the software, I love the UI, and I love those things more than I love what Samsung typically provides. Of course, on my channel, I also focus on a lot of budget content. I focus on a lot of tablets, but when I got this phone, I have to tell you, I was blown away from the second I took it out of the box. First off, the design is just so good. Of course, you get a little bit of a different design from the S22 Ultra. You get a little bit of different curved edges, but the curved edges feel so good. It does make the phone a lot more comfortable to use than the S22 Ultra. It just feels so nice in the hand, and you just get a premium feeling the second you take it out of the box. It just looks so good on the back of the phone. The camera array, it is very huge, don't get me wrong. It looks absolutely gargantuan, and if you don't want a bunch of dust to build up on these rings, you're probably going to have to get a case because that will help with the dust. But if you could get past that, I just have to say, man, from the sides of the phone to the top and the bottom, you're going to get a great design. Of course, you do have an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, and the fingerprint sensor is super fast. And my hand has been having some issues with the fingerprint sensor in the Pixel 7 because my hands can be a little bit dry. But whenever I used my fingers on this, I was getting through pretty much instantly. Another thing you're going to notice is the speaker. So you do have a speaker on the bottom and a speaker that's going to be on the top of the screen. And the speakers were just so loud. I was just shocked at how good the speakers were, just super impressed with the speakers and my usage of them. There's been a lot again that I've been impressed with as far as this phone, and even the S Pen. The S Pen is a part of this phone too. It's a part of the design. You're going to see it here on the bottom of the phone. Now it's going to be really small, so if you've been used to something like a Galaxy tablet, don't buy this phone just for the stylus. Like, you might get a little bit disappointed with it. It is small, so if you do want a bigger stylus, again, a tablet stylus might be a little bit better. This is going to get a little bit uncomfortable to use if you do use it for a long period of time. But what I will say is that it's really nice to use for those quick signatures. If you're someone who does want to take some quick notes, this is going to be terrific for that. The actual S Pen experience, it feels soft overall on the screen, so I didn't feel like I was damaging the screen or anything like that. So overall, very impressed with the S Pen. And whenever you get into the phone and get to the display, it does come with a 1080p display turned on. Of course, you can actually bump that up if you want a better resolution. But of course, you should know by now, if you've been watching any reviews for this phone, the display is obviously going to be phenomenal. You're talking about a dynamic AMOLED display with a 3088 by 1440 resolution. The resolution is so good on this phone. It looks so crispy, but honestly, the full HD looks just fine too. So if you want to get good battery life on it, maybe you do want to actually move it down or leave it on the normal display that it does come with, that full HD resolution. It's going to be just fine. Of course, the refresh rate is so smooth on the screen, but you're going to be blown away when you're using this phone by the brightness and just watching normal content. Like, it just looks so good. The colors are incredible on this phone. I can't say enough about how good the screen looks. It looks fantastic, and of course, using it on a larger 6.8-inch display, it's just really impressive. And a lot of you know that. When you get a flagship phone like this, you're going to get one of the best displays out. You're going to get terrific performance. You're going to get amazing things and great battery life. But what's so impressive about this phone phone is the new processor. That Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, it's so much better than the Gen 1. It's so much more efficient. That's why a lot of us are excited about the Galaxy Tab S9 series, because we're hoping for that Gen 2 processor, because the battery life is so good on this phone, and it does also improve performance. It's so smooth. So whenever I'm using this phone day to day, whenever I'm using it and scrolling around, I have to say, I am just super impressed with it. Like, it's so smooth to use on a daily basis whenever I am going between apps, even opening apps. Now, my internet is a little bit slower with where I live. I live in the boonies, but I do get super, super fast speeds whenever I'm opening apps, whenever I'm switching between apps, or even when I'm multitasking. Like, it's a terrific experience overall on this phone, and I cannot say enough about how impressed I am with the performance, but also, again, the battery life on this phone. So it does have a 5,000 milliamp battery, and that's a really big battery for a phone. But what's so impressive about the battery life, something that could get you like 8 hours or more of screen on time, it's going to be that processor efficiency. That is what really makes the battery life so good on this phone. And you can, again, make it even better if you're willing to live with a full HD display rather than going up to that Quad HD display. Now, of course, the camera on this phone, in my opinion, it's going to be tied for the best camera out there. I've heard iPhones have a little bit of better video quality, and I'll give them that. I've heard good things about the video quality on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, but I do think that the versatility of the camera here is going to make this one of the best cameras that's out. Of course, Xiaomi and some other Chinese phone makers, you're going to get some special things from them as they're increasing the sensor sizes, but I do really like what Samsung did. You're talking about 100 times zoom. It's great if you're trying to look across the street at like a street sign and you're just trying to amplify it to see what it says. It's going to be really good for those situations. Or if you're at your child's play, you're in the bleachers and you're really trying to get a good shot on video. So you're going to be able to get really good shots. Of course, 100 times zoom looks absolutely terrible, but if you go up to 20 or 30 times, it's still going to look pretty good overall, as long as you're taking a picture of an object that isn't moving like crazy, right? And of course, using this day to day up close with photos, the photos are terrific as well. So a lot of you know it's a 200 megapixel camera on the main lens. You also have a 10 megapixel lens, which is a periscope telephoto lens. And you have another telephoto lens and an ultra wide. Like, you're gonna have a ton of cameras on this. They're gonna perform absolutely great. They're gonna give you a lot of options. You're gonna have an option of 8K video recording and all that stuff. I don't think that really matters. I don't think your average person is gonna use 8K for a very long time, but you still get really nice looking 4K video. You're going to get really nice looking pictures of your family. So if you are looking to get really good pictures, really good video, and you're looking to get those extra zoom shots, I think that's going to make this one of the best cameras you could buy. Now, the speakers are, again, some of the best speakers I think you could get in a phone. Now, you do get 45-watt wired charging, which is pretty good overall. I think a lot of us were hoping for like 60 or even higher, but still, the wired charging is actually pretty fast. You get 15-watt wireless charging. Again, a lot of us would hope for more, but the higher the wattage on those things, the worse your battery will get in the long run. So if you do want to keep your battery life going, it's not a huge deal to miss out on those extra features. But this phone is going to miss out on a couple things like that. Like, you might get higher wired charging out of a phone like a OnePlus phone. You might get higher wireless charging out of some other phones. There are a couple of very, very minor compromises, but if you compare this with the iPhones of the world, or if you compare this with Google Pixels, if you compare it with pretty much any phone in the US, I think what you're going to find is this is no doubt, even for the retail price that it's at, it's going to be one of the best phones you could buy. And in my opinion, it really is the best phone you could buy. Like, I really love Google Pixel phones. I'm a huge Google Pixel nerd. I'm using the Google Pixel tablet right now, and I'm absolutely in love with it. But I have to say, those Tensor processors can get a little bit warm. They're not super efficient, and they're not going to have better battery life on those devices compared to this phone right here. This phone does come with an S Pen, which is a really big deal. The screen is terrific, and it has one of the best resolutions you could get on a phone. I get it, $1,200. Would I recommend a normal person spend $1,200 on a phone? No. The the price is really, really high, right? And I wouldn't recommend $1,200 for pretty much anyone. You have a lot of great phones out there that have 90% of what this phone has to offer for $600 or $700. So this phone, even when it is on sale, if you find this phone for $850 or $900, or you find it for $1,000, like, this is going to be great for those prices, but you still could technically get a better value sometimes in some other phones. But we have to be honest too and say this phone has been going on sale. It has been going on sale a lot. And for $1,200, that's not really what you're having to normally spend on it, because those sales are bringing this down under $1,000. It's bringing it around $900 or even cheaper than that. And if you find this phone under $900, it's worth spending an extra couple $100 to get the S Pen, to get the premium design, to get this camera and the flexibility that comes with using a camera like this. Like, it is super flexible as far as the camera, and I love that you could take those zoom shots when you need them, especially of your family. That is a huge thing. So I've been talking in a lot of my budget reviews recently, and I've been saying that you could get a good performing phone with really good battery life and a decent display for like $300 out there. That is absolutely true. And for those people who are wanting to bargain hunt, there are so many good phones around $300 that give you almost everything that you need in a smartphone. And when you're spending money on a phone like this, you're not spending it because you need it. You're spending it because you want the absolute best in everything. And when you want the best display, granted, you might find something out there, especially in 2023, especially with the Z Fold coming out, the Z Fold 5, and a lot of other devices that I'm expecting will release soon. Sure, those phones are going to have terrific displays. And I know more phones are going to come out as well in the future. I know the Galaxy S24 Ultra, whenever it comes out later this year, the display is going to be great and everything like that. And sure, maybe there's some Chinese phone out there from Xiaomi that's going to have a little bit of a better display. But for us people in the US, I really think this is going to have the best display that you could buy. I think it's going to have performance that's going to be right there, even if it's a little bit lower than a couple of other phones. It's realistically going to be right there with the best phones out. I think you're going to get some of the best battery life that you could get out of almost any phone. So whenever you're getting the best battery life, the best performance, the best display, again, even if it's not exactly the best, it's so close that you can't even tell. Whenever you get the camera flexibility from this phone, whenever you get a lot of good extra features, and when all of those extra features just seem to work, and then you get an S Pen that comes with it. The phone has a better design than older phones that Samsung has released. It feels really comfortable in the hands. So this phone, I have just fallen in love with this phone. As a Pixel enthusiast, I have to say, I am so impressed with the S23 Ultra. In my opinion, this is definitely one of the best phones you could buy, if not the best phone you could buy. I know a lot of iPhone people would prefer the 14 Pro Max, and that is fine. A lot of Google people might prefer to save a little bit of money. That is a factor here now. Some of you want to save money, and the Pixel 7 Pro you can get for cheaper, whether it's on sale or not. They have a lot of sales on those 7 Pros, and you also see, even at the retail price, it's a little bit cheaper than this Samsung. But if you get beyond that, if you're just looking at the best, a phone that's not going to overheat like the Pixel 7 Pro sometimes can, a phone that has a better fingerprint sensor than the Pixel 7 Pro. Like, there is so much to like about the Galaxy S23 Ultra. There is so much that has impressed me with it. I am not a Samsung knight. I am not here to defend Samsung. I just have to say that this is really one of the best phones that has been released really ever, and there's not any huge flaws with it that I could think of. Like, it's just going to be super impressive. Now, if you're wanting a foldable phone, I get it. Foldable phones are great. They have a lot of unique utility. They're not going to be quite as good as a phone like this, but you'll get a lot of utility out of foldable phones. If that's you, the Z Fold 4, the Z Fold 5, the Pixel Fold, those phones are going to be great. But if you just want a normal slab phone and you want to get the best phone you can buy, this is going to be right there in the running with any of them. And in my opinion, for me personally, I really think it's the best phone that I could buy. Now, like a lot of you, I'm not made of money. So am I actually going to keep the S23 Ultra? Am I going to have this phone as my daily forever? I'm not really sure. But honestly, if I wanted the best phone out, I would say this would be my personal choice. But what about you? What phone do you think is the best? What phone would you prefer to buy over anything? Let me know in the comments. Also, use those links in the description. Using those links does help to support my channel a lot, right? I am really relying on that. It does help me with my income because when you use those links, I do get a little bit of commission off of those sales from your purchases. So thank you so much for that. And also, if you do have any other time, by the way, like this video, sub to my channel, and you could even watch some other videos if you get a little bit of time. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you enjoy your week.